You need to find your place. Blinking, Elena managed to tear her gaze away from the pendant and look back into the old woman's eyes. They seemed so kind and wise. Maybe I don't have one. Oh, there now. Each of us has one, but there are those who don't fit so easily into the world, the way others see it. And us. You've only been looking in the wrong places. Till now. This, she said again, belongs to you. I really can't afford it. There was apology in her voice, even as she reached out. Just to touch. And touching, she felt heat from the silver and terrible longing inside her. A thrill raced up her spine, even as something heavy seemed to settle over her heart. It couldn't hurt to try it on. Surely there was no harm in just seeing how it looked on her, how it felt. As if in a dream, she took the chain from the old woman, slipped it around her neck. The heaviness in her heart shifted. For a moment, the light through the window strengthened, beamed brilliantly over the trinkets and pots of herbs and odd little stones crammed on the shelves and counters. An image swam into her mind, an image of knights and dragons, of wild wind and water, of a circle of stones standing alone under a black and raging sky. Then a shadow that was a man, standing still as the stones, as if waiting. In her heart she knew he waited for her, as no one had before, and no one would after, and would wait eternally. Elena closed her hand over the pendant, ran her thumb over the star. Joy burst through her, clear as the sunlight. Ah, she thought, of course, it's mine, just as I'm his and he's mine. How much is it? She heard herself say, and knew no price would be too dear. £10 as a token. 10? She was already reaching for her purse. It has to be worth more. A king's ransom, a sorcerer's spell, a lover's dream. It is, of course. But the woman merely held out her hand for the single note. And so are you. Go on your journey, a quid, and see. Thank you. You're a good lass, the woman said, as Elena walked to the door. And when it shut, her smile turned bright and crafty. He won't be pleased, but you'll bring him round by Midsummer's Eve. And if you need a bit of help, well, that'll be my pleasure. Outside, Elena stared at the sea wall, the dock, the line of cottages, as if coming out of a dream. Odd, she thought. Hadn't that all been wonderfully odd? She traced a finger over the pendant again. Only one, cast in Dagda's cauldron, carved by Merlin. Of course, Margaret would sneer and tell her that the old woman had a dozen more in the stockroom, ready to pass them off to bird-brained tourists. And Margaret, as always, was probably right. But it didn't matter. She had the pendant, and a wonderful story to go with it. And all for £10. Quite a bargain. She glanced up now, wincing. The sky was heavy with clouds, and all of them were thick and grey. Margaret would not be pleased that the weather wasn't falling in line with today's plans. The ferry ride to the island had been meticulously arranged. Tea and scones would be served on the trip over, while Margaret lectured her 20-person group on the history of the place they were about to visit. It had been Elena's job to type up Margaret's notes and print the handouts. First stop would be the visitor center for orientation. There would be a tour of a ruined abbey and graveyard, which Elena looked forward to, then lunch, picnic style, which the hotel had provided in hampers. Lunch was to last precisely 60 minutes. They would then visit the beehive cottages, and Margaret would deliver a lecture on their history and purpose. The group would be allotted an hour to wander on their own, into the village, the shops, down to the beach, before gathering at 4:30 on the dot for high tea at the restored castle, with, naturally, another lecture on that particular spot. It was Elena's job to keep all of Margaret's lecture notes in order, to help herd the group, to watch valuables, to haul parcels, should there be any, and to generally make herself available for any and all menial chores. For this, she would be paid a reasonable salary, by Margaret's definition. But, more important, it was explained she would receive training and experience that, her family hoped, would teach her responsibility and maturity, which, by the age of 25, she should have learned already. There was no point in explaining that she didn't want to be responsible and mature if it turned her into another Margaret. Here she was, 4 days into her first tour, and already something inside her was screaming to run away.